Doing that to a dog, and when my dog was a puppy, he was mostly an inside dog, so...
She? You have a female?
I have a female. I sometimes refers as he because I think of dogs as he's.
Well, they're not. They have genders.
It's obvious, Your Honor.
They have genders. Anyway, this is what this silly case is about. You claim that you had an agreement with Mr. Johnson to breed your Pekingese with his Chihuahua when she was in heat, and you were going to get the pick of litter.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that he made that agreement with you, that he was present when you opened the gate between the two properties and the dogs got together, and a couple of months later, according to you, the Chihuahua had puppies, and you never got your pick of litter. That's what you want. Mr. Johnson says he never agreed to that. You trespassed on his property. As a result of that, his dog may or may not have gotten pregnant from your Pekingese. He has an interesting counterclaim. Part of it is that dog didn't get pregnant from your Pekingese. The other part is he's suing you for the vet bills because his dog did get pregnant from your Pekingese, and he had a lot of vet bills and all the puppies died. So let's start with, I need your position, Mr. Johnson. Did your dog become pregnant as a result of the coupling with Miss Morgan's Pekingese?
It may have, Your Honor.
It may have, you're not sure.
Correct.
Well, if you're not sure, then your counterclaim's dismissed. Because if it wasn't her dog, she wouldn't be responsible for any vet bills, right?
Wouldn't that be only part of my counterclaim, Your Honor?
No, I don't buy the trespass, sir, because it was either you or your daughter that allowed her dog to go on your property. And I believe there's no question that she didn't open the gate herself and do it with nobody there and nobody's encouragement. Do you understand? I don't believe it. Yeah.
Would I be allowed to make a comment?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
At the initial time, I didn't think that the dog was pregnant by her dog because I felt my dog was already pregnant even prior to meeting her. When the dog had puppies, one of the puppies looked like the dog that I thought was pregnant, and the other two puppies looked like her kind of dog. So I came to believe subsequently that probably the other two dogs may have been puppies from her dog. But by that time, I was so frustrated by her coming around my property, bothering me and trying to contact my daughter, that I just was frustrated.
Well, I don't pay you for your frustration, so she came around your property because she wanted to see whether or not the puppies were born. It was something that clearly your daughter was familiar with, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you had discussions with her about having these two dogs get together.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And how old are you?
13.
She was 12 at the time. I don't know why a grown woman is talking to my daughter without my knowledge about anything like that. I would wonder why she would want to do that in the first place.
Mr. Johnson, is what you're telling me, sir, as you're standing there, that you never had a conversation with Miss Morgan about mating the dogs?
Yes.
Listen very carefully. Are you telling me that you never had a conversation with Miss Morgan about letting the two dogs mate?
Your Honor, I never met the lady prior to that day that she was on my property. I hadn't even known she was talking to my daughter.
Just a second. Which day when she was on your property?
The day that the dogs got together and were mating.
So you met her that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a conversation before the dogs got together?
We weren't talking about any of that. She was on my property. She let her dogs loose, and our dogs started mating. When I found out and I started asking her why she was on my property and trying to get her off of my property, the dogs
was your daughter there?
I believe she was there part of the time.
Tell me your name.
Michelle.
Michelle, stand next to your father. You and Miss Morgan had discussed your dogs mating?
Yes, ma'am.
And who let Miss Morgan onto your property?
She walked onto my property and started talking to my father.
And when she walked onto your property and started talking to your father, where was her dog?
With her.
Was she holding her dog?
Yes, ma'am.
In her hand?
No, with the leash.
With the leash. And she was talking to your father?
Yes, ma'am.
And after she got finished talking to your father, I want you to tell me whether you brought your dog outside.
My dog was outside when she walked.
Already?
Yes.
So she was talking to your father before the dogs mated?
No.
Well, that's what you just told me. She said she walked up to your property, she was holding her dog on the leash, and she was talking to your father. Is what you're telling me she talked to your father after they had already mated? It's either before or after?
After.
Okay, well then she had to have let the dog on your property. Now the dog was on the leash. How did that happen? She came on the property, you were there. Your father wasn't there. It was either your father was there and you were there, or you were there alone with her. Which one?
They were there alone, and then I walked up while they were having the conversation.
So your father was talking to Miss Morgan alone. You weren't there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see the dogs mating?
Yes.
So that happened after she had the conversation with your father?
Yes.
That's all I wanted to know. Perfect. Now you can sit. You got it, Mr. Johnson?
I was there, Your Honor. I know what happened.
Very good. Well, I was led to believe it was something different. So now she had a conversation with you before the dogs mated. Before. because your daughter said she wasn't there. And she was there when the dogs mated, which means after she spoke to you, you permitted the dogs to mate, which means you must have had a conversation with her, Mr. Johnson.
Well, what you don't understand, Your Honor, is during that moment, I owned a company, and I was refilling my chemical jars at the time, so my concentration wasn't on a person walking right up to me.
I don't care. So I'm just getting to know who my customers are. So let's understand now what's percolating in my head, Mr. Johnson. What's percolating in my head is you had an agreement with the plaintiff. I thought, well, that's a good idea, and I never had her fixed, and I call her a him anyway. So we'll do this, and my daughter wants to do this anyway, and my daughter came out because she was also there, according to her, when the dogs mated, right? Which was after the conversation that your father had with the plaintiff. Now the dog gets pregnant, and the dog has a litter. How many puppies did the dog have in the litter, Mr. Johnson?
The dog had 3, but I'm curious to know why you don't want to know what the conversation is about.
Well, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to tell you, sir, that if I believed you, initially, I would have believed that she came onto your property after just talking to your daughter and you were totally unaware of the circumstance. If I believed you, that's why I asked your daughter. Your daughter told me what happened. So she had a conversation with you, and I don't think Miss Morgan is a criminal. And I think if you said to her in no uncertain terms, I don't want to mate my dog. I don't want to breed my dog. Get off my property.
That's exactly what I said.
What? I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If what you've done is let this Chihuahua have puppies and don't take care of them, and if you don't know what the hell you're doing, have your dog spayed. I mean, it's not a sport.
And later today...
Laptop. You want to give me your side of the story on the laptop?
We were sharing a camp together, and our camper, her camper, was in disrepair. I was always maintaining...
Just a second. This is a half-hour program.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christine Dietrich Morgan says neighbor Roy Johnson III owes for a stud fee and for breaching their agreement to breed their dogs. Roy is countersuing for vet bills, trespassing, and emotional distress.
Okay, so now you have 3 puppies. And she's been coming around your house because she wants to know, because she heard someplace either you get a stud fee or pick of litter. Not when you're breeding a mutt. A Pekingese and a Chihuahua is a mutt. So the only thing that I want to know, Mr. Johnson, is because now I'm hearing from you that, at least I'm reading in your answer, if I were to believe you, that all 3 puppies died and that you have proof that all 3 puppies died. Is that correct?
No.
Well, that's what you said here. Let me read your answer.
I never said anything about proof, Your Honor. I said the dogs died.
No, that's not what you said in your answer. The vet said it would cost $600 to save that one. 2 died, and I didn't have the money to spare. I have the vet report and the bill.
It didn't say that, Your Honor. It did not say that.
No? Well, let me ask you this, sir. That's your signature?
That's my signature.
Well, read what it says. Would you give that to Mr. Johnson, please? Vet said it would cost $600 to save that one. I did not have the puppy money to spare. I have the vet report and the bill. I'd like to see it.
I have a letter from one of the ladies that I gave a puppy to.
Oh, but you just told me...
And I also have the bill. They're both right now. I wanted to submit both of them.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that all 3 puppies didn't die?
Oh, no. All 3 puppies died. But the way that you characterized it at first, I didn't agree with those words.
I thought you just said you gave one of the puppies to somebody.
Ma'am.
Did you just say I gave one of the puppies to somebody, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I gave one of the puppies to somebody at one point, yes. By the time that the 3rd one, which was the last one that died, this is a vet report, this is only talking about the very last one that was surviving.
Mr. Johnson, because you gave one away, sir, doesn't mean it died. You had 3 puppies. Did the one that you gave away from that person you can show me the letter, did that person's puppy die?
Yes.
Is that what she says?
That's what it also says in her letter. Those are separate letters for separate dogs.
So you gave puppy to somebody.
And I would have given her a puppy if I made an arrangement with her. I didn't. My dogs had several puppies.
Let me see the letter from
and I've given every one of them away. I've never tried to breed them or anything like that. If my dog had a puppy and I didn't want them, I would give them to somebody.
If this letter is accurate, Mr. Johnson, there's something so unkind about you. Because if what you've done is let this Chihuahua have puppies and don't take care of them, which is what Wallace says, and if you don't know what the hell you're doing, have your dog spayed. Take the dog to the ASPCA and have her spayed so she won't have puppies anymore because you and your daughter and whoever else lives with you don't know how to take care of them. If all the puppies died of parvo and other puppies have died because you don't know how to take care of them, you don't take them to a vet, you don't have them get shots, you don't, nothing. I mean, it's not a sport. He doesn't have any live puppies. They're all gone. The case is dismissed. We're done.
Puppies are excused and they step out.
I think he's a liar. I think he's a con artist. I think he's a deceiver.
Those 3 puppies from that litter, they all died.
I don't know what to believe at this point.
Try and work a contract out with me when I'm telling her to get off my property. She wasn't concerned about any of that.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mewgrace versus Ansel, step forward.
Teresa Mewgrace is suing her ex-boyfriend, William Ansel IV, for an unpaid loan to buy a laptop.
Miss Mewgrace, how long were you and the defendant a couple?
A little over 6 years.
You bought a camper together.
Yes, we did.
When did you buy the camper?
In October of 2014.
And when did you break up?
January of 2017.
And between 2014 and January of 2017, you made joint payments on this camper. Is that correct?
It was only about a year that he was able to make payments on, or assist me with making payments on the trailer because he had another financial obligation.
How long did you make payments on the trailer?
13 payments, 13 months,
In what amount?
$130 a month.
And when did you stop making payments?
Last June, I believe.
Okay, so you made $1,690 in payments, $1,690 in payments. And it is your claim, Ms. Mewgrace, that he owes you for a loan that you extended to him to buy a laptop at about the same time as you bought the trailer.
Yes.
Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were supposed to pay on the camper, but you stopped paying on the camper.
She told me that I could stop paying on the camper while I was paying on my previous loan.
Well, you were, little violin, the mouse and the violin.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Teresa Mewgrace says ex-boyfriend William Ansel IV owes for a loan to buy a laptop. William is countersuing for the return of money he paid for a camper.
Oh, how much did you pay for the computer?
$3,260.52.
$3,200 and...
$60.52.
And between 2014, when you bought this laptop, and the time you separated in January 2017, how many payments did he make on the laptop?
He didn't make any on the laptop.
That's absolutely right. He didn't make any on the laptop. And you never sued him for the laptop because he made no payments. He made payments on the camper.
He made
payments on the camper. But he made no payments on the laptop, and never did you say, this is a loan, and I'm going to sue you. Did you use the camper together in 2015?
Yes.
Did you use the camper together in 2016?
Yes.
Great. And all during that time, there was no claim of a loan for a computer.
There was a claim of a loan for the computer. He was going to start paying me additional amount after he had the garnishment finished. He had said,
Do you have the camper now?
I do have the camper now.
Great. Are you using it?
Yes.
Great. And he doesn't have the benefit of his $1,690 that he put into the camper.
Not.
That's what happens when you're a couple.
Right. Right. But he used it for 2 years, yes.
Laptop. You want to give me your side of the story on the laptop? I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I don't get overexcited with a 3.5-year-old alleged loan.
We were sharing a camp together, and our camper, her camper, was in disrepair. I was always maintaining.
Just a second. This is a half-hour program. I just want to hear about the laptop.
Sure. The agreement was for the camper, not the laptop. I made payments on the camper, not the laptop. And she said that, if I helped pay for the camper, she would buy the laptop, and she did.
That was in 2014?
Yes.
And you agreed to help pay for the camper?
Yes.
But she wasn't saying helping. You were supposed to split the cost of the camper.
Yes.
But you didn't split the cost of the camper while you were using it, if you made only 13 payments in 2.5 years.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
So that you reneged on the deal. If the deal was she was going to buy, let's say I believe you, that she was going to buy you a laptop if you agreed, because the camper was about $20,000, something like that. If you agreed to pay for half the camper, because she figured you were going to be together and you would pay for half the camper. When she took out money from her 401k, she would take out some extra money and buy you the laptop.
Yes.
And you said, that sounds reasonable.
Yes.
But then you broke the deal.
Yes.
Then you got to pay for the laptop, right?
Well, I was paying on the camper, and I actually...
No, but that was the deal. You were supposed to pay on the camper, but you stopped paying on the camper.
She told me that I could stop paying on the camper while I was paying on my previous loan.
Well, you were, little violin, the mouse and the violin.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to JudgeJudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
How can I do this? You know, I got my wages garnished for this, and now I have the camper, and now I have this, and I still want to be your boyfriend, and we can still go camping together. So she said, okay, as soon as this is over, then you can start paying it again. What were her choices?
Those were the only choices she made.
Right.
Yes.
So you broke the deal. You still have the laptop?
Yes, I do.
Great, you got to pay for it because you broke the deal. I don't even think it's a loan. I think that the contract that she made with you and that you agreed to was that she would buy you the laptop as a gift in exchange for you assuming half the responsibility of the camper. And while you were together, you did not assume your responsibility for half of the camper. Therefore, you breached the contract. And if you breach the contract, then you got to pay for the laptop. Well, give it back to her. What's your pleasure?
I'd rather call it even and call it a day.
Well, you can't call it even and call it a day, sir. Either you have to pay her for the laptop or give it back to her. What's your choice?
I'll pay for the laptop.
$32.60. That's all. We're done.
They step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We can put this relationship behind us so we can both move forward.
I don't know why it was so difficult.
Once it was my motorcycle in her garage that I needed to get back, and she wouldn't give it back.
All he had to do was ask for it.
Choose very carefully who you're with.
It's time to close the chapter.